There's a number that most people carry around with them every single day. They don't talk about it. They don't write it down. They try, mostly successfully, not to think about it directly, because thinking about it directly produces a specific kind of low-level dread that's hard to shake once it starts. It's a debt number. And according to the Federal Reserve's most recent consumer credit data, the average American household is carrying approximately $104,215 in total debt, not counting mortgages, credit cards, auto loans, student loans, personal loans, medical bills. All of it combined, $104,215. And that's the average. Half of American households owe more than that. Today we're going to do something that most people never do with debt. We're going to look at it clearly. We're going to walk through every stage of the debt journey, from the seemingly harmless $1,000 balance all the way to the $100,000 that feels like a weight you'll carry for the rest of your life, and show you exactly what each stage looks and feels like, what it costs in real money, and most importantly, what happens if you stay at that stage versus if you get out. Because debt is one of those things that seems manageable until it isn't. And by the time it isn't, most people have already paid a price they can never fully get back. I'm Daniel. Let's walk through every stage. Stage 1. The $1,000 debt. The one nobody takes seriously. Meet Tyler. He's 23. He just got his first real job making $42,000 a year. He's proud of himself. He's responsible. He pays his rent on time, he's got a small savings account started, and he has one credit card he uses for everyday purchases because his dad told him that's how you build credit. Last month, something came up. His car needed a repair. He had $300 in savings, the repair cost $1,100, and rather than ask his parents for money, he put $800 on the card. He also had a few nights out with coworkers, new job, new friendships, and his card balance climbed to just over $1,000. His minimum payment is $25 per month. Tyler looks at that $25 and feels relieved. He can handle $25 per month. He makes $42,000 a year. He'll pay it off when things settle down. Here's what Tyler doesn't know. His card charges 22.9% interest. On a $1,000 balance, paying only the minimum payment every month, Tyler will take approximately 5 years and 3 months to pay off that $1,000, and he will pay $656 in interest on top of the original balance. He borrowed $1,000. He will repay $1,656. But here's the thing about Stage 1 debt that makes it genuinely dangerous. It doesn't feel dangerous. $1,000 is not a scary number. The minimum payment is not a scary payment. The balance is small enough that the average 23-year-old can comfortably look away from it and focus on other things. And that is exactly why Stage 1 debt is where the trouble almost always starts. Because Tyler is not going to stop using the card. He's going to put more things on it. And the balance that felt like a temporary inconvenience is going to grow. Not because he's irresponsible, but because minimum payments barely cover the interest. Because life keeps generating expenses, and because a $1,000 balance sitting at 22.9% is a machine that grows itself. The exit from Stage 1 is the cheapest and easiest exit in the entire debt journey. Pay the full balance, ideally in the same month it appeared, or within 2 to 3 months at most. Treat it as a short-term loan to yourself, not a long-term financial product. Every person at $50,000 in credit card debt was once at $1,000, and they all had the same thought Tyler is having right now. I'll handle it later. Stage 2. The $5,000 debt. The new normal. 18 months after that car repair, Tyler's credit card balance is $5,200. He didn't do anything dramatic. He didn't go on a shopping spree. He didn't make any single catastrophic financial decision. He just kept using the card for everyday spending, kept making minimum payments, got a modest raise, and upgraded his apartment slightly. Had a few months where money was tight. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, without a specific moment he can point to, the balance went from $1,000 to $5,000. $200. His minimum payment is now $104 per month. He's still not particularly worried. $104 is manageable. He's been told by various financial sources that having some debt is normal, even healthy for your credit score. And Tyler's credit score has actually gone up, which feels like evidence that things are fine. Here is what $5,200 at 22.9% actually costs if Tyler continues on his current path. Making only minimum payments, Tyler will spend approximately 12 years and 4 months paying off this balance. Total interest paid, approximately $4,800. He borrowed $5,200. He will repay approximately $10,000. He will pay nearly double what he borrowed, and it will take more than a decade. But here's the stage 2 reality that's even more financially significant than the interest. At $5,200 in credit card debt, Tyler is now making monthly interest payments of approximately $99 per month, just in interest, just to keep the balance where it is. That $99 every month is not reducing his debt. It is not buying him anything. It is not building any asset. It is the cost he pays every single month simply for the privilege of continuing to owe money. $99 per month invested instead of paid in interest over 30 years at 7% return becomes approximately $119,000. The interest on $5,200 of credit card debt, compounded into its lost investment potential, represents over $100,000 in eventual wealth. That is what stage 2 debt actually costs, not the $5,200. The future it erases while you pay $104 per month and tell yourself you'll deal with it later. The exit from stage 2 is still achievable without dramatic measures. An aggressive payoff plan, $500 per month toward the balance, eliminates $5,200 in approximately 12 months. It requires cutting spending, increasing income slightly, or some combination. It is uncomfortable but not devastating. Stay at stage 2 for 5 years instead of exiting in 1, and the cost and interest paid alone approaches $4,000, money permanently gone. Stage 3, the $15,000 debt, where optimism gets hard. Tyler is 27 now. He got a promotion. He's making $58,000 a year. And he has $15,400 in debt, $9,800 on his original credit card, $3,200 on a second card he opened when the first one was getting full, and $2,400 remaining on a personal loan he took for a situation he'd rather not think about. This is stage 3. And stage 3 has a different texture than the first two. At $1,000 and even at $5,000, there was a clear path to zero that didn't feel overwhelming. Tyler could see the end. At $15,400, the end is no longer clearly visible. The minimum payments across all 3 accounts total $308 per month. The monthly interest charges total approximately $280, meaning he's paying $308 of it is reducing his actual balance. At minimum payments, Tyler would be paying off this debt until his mid-40s. That fact, when he actually calculates it, which he tries not to do, does something specific to Tyler's psychology. It produces what researchers who study financial behavior call debt fatigue, the sense that the debt is so large and so persistent that aggressive action to eliminate it feels pointless. If it's going to take 15 years no matter what, why sacrifice everything now? This fatigue is one of the most financially damaging states a person can be in. Because it's the reasoning that keeps people at stage 3 for years, sometimes decades, paying hundreds of dollars per month in interest while building nothing, accumulating nothing, using income that should be generating future wealth to service past consumption. The math at stage 3 is still solvable. $1,000 per month toward debt at 22.9% interest on a $15,400 balance clears the debt in approximately 19 months. The total interest paid, approximately $2,700 rather than the $14,000 plus that minimum payments would cost. But $1,000 per month toward debt repayment requires Tyler to make real, meaningful choices about his spending, in a way that $104 per month didn't. This is where the debt avalanche strategy becomes important. Attack the highest interest rate debt first, paying minimums on everything else and throwing every available dollar at the most expensive debt. Once it's eliminated, roll that payment to the next highest rate. The mathematical savings over paying debts in random order are significant, often thousands of dollars, because you're eliminating the highest cost debt first. What Tyler cannot afford to do at Stage 3 is what Stage 3 strongly tempts him to do. Accept the situation as normal, absorb the minimum payments into his budget as a fixed cost, and move on. Because Stage 3 doesn't stay at Stage 3. Without aggressive action, it becomes Stage 4. Stage 4. The $30,000 debt. The trap closes. Tyler is 31. He makes $72,000 per year. He got married last year. His wife earns $55,000. Together they make $127,000, more money than either of them ever imagined earning individually. And together they carry $31,500 in combined consumer debt. His credit cards, her student loan balance that's been slowly growing through deferment, a car loan he took last year when the old Honda finally died, and a medical bill from an ER visit neither of them had budgeted for. This is Stage 4. And Stage 4 has a defining feature that separates it from everything that came before. At Stage 4, the debt is no longer just about the interest. It's about what the debt has done to the couple's choices. They want to buy a house. Their combined credit scores are good, mid-700s, but their debt-to-income ratio is not. Lenders calculate DTI by dividing total monthly debt payments by gross monthly income. At $31,500 in combined debt with payments totaling approximately $680 per month, their DTI is elevated enough that qualifying for the mortgage they'd need in their market is difficult. They either need to put more money down, which they can't because the debt is consuming the cash flow that should be building savings, or they need to reduce their debt load first. The debt is blocking the wealth-building mechanism that would otherwise be available to them. It's not just costing interest. It's costing them access to home equity, to the wealth that homeownership in their city would have generated over the next 10 years. Additionally, at $127,000 combined income, Tyler and his wife should theoretically be building meaningful retirement savings. But the debt payments, combined with their rent and daily expenses, leave them contributing only 4% of Tyler's salary to his 401k, capturing the employer match but nothing more, and nothing toward a Roth IRA. The compound interest that should be working in their favor, building their retirement wealth, is instead being redirected to their creditors in the form of interest payments. Stage 4 is where debt becomes a life-shaping force rather than a financial inconvenience. It constrains options, it delays milestones, it redirects wealth-building capacity toward debt service. And it does all of this while feeling, to the people experiencing it, simply like the normal pressures of adult life. The exit from Stage 4 is a full-scale debt elimination campaign, not a partial measure. It requires a written plan, a specific monthly target for debt repayment, a commitment between both people to treat debt elimination as the primary financial priority, above lifestyle upgrades, above travel, above almost everything that isn't essential for 2 to 3 focused years. 2 to 3 years of focused effort versus 20-plus years of minimum payments. That is the trade available at Stage 4. Most people choose the minimum payments not consciously, but by choosing not to choose. Stage 5. The $50,000 debt. The weight becomes physical. Sarah is 38. She works in healthcare administration, earns $81,000, and has $52,000 in debt. The breakdown: $18,000 across 3 credit cards, $24,000 remaining on a private student loan that she's been paying for 12 years and somehow doesn't seem to get smaller, $10,000 on a personal loan she took to consolidate some earlier debt, which helped for about 8 months before the old patterns returned and the cards refilled. Sarah knows her situation in detail. She has a spreadsheet. She's not avoidant in the way she was at 28. She understands exactly what she owes, exactly what she pays, exactly what the interest rates are. What Sarah experiences at stage 5 is something qualitatively different from what Tyler experienced in the earlier stages. At $52,000 in debt, earning $81,000 per year, Sarah's debt-to-income ratio means that a meaningful percentage of every dollar she earns is already spoken for before she decides how to spend it. Her minimum payments total $1,140 per month, just the minimums. She's not reducing her balance significantly. She's just staying in place. The psychological research on this level of consumer debt is consistent. People carrying sustained high-level consumer debt show elevated cortisol levels, reduced sleep quality, higher rates of anxiety and depression, and measurably impaired cognitive function in financial decision-making. Specifically, the stress of the debt itself makes the financial decisions required to escape it harder to execute. Sarah also faces a mathematical trap that wasn't present at earlier stages. Her $24,000 student loan has an interest rate of 9.5%, a parent plus rate on a loan she refinanced years ago. Each month, that loan generates approximately $190 in interest. Her monthly payment is $260. She is reducing the principal by $70 per month. At that rate, this loan will be with her for another 28 years. She is 38. This loan will follow her into her late 60s unless she changes something. At stage 5, the exit strategy has to be more sophisticated than at earlier stages, because the problem has multiple components, each with different interest rates and different timelines. The most powerful tool available to Sarah that wasn't available at lower debt levels is debt consolidation through a personal loan at a lower rate. If she can qualify for a consolidation loan at 10% to 12% versus her current credit card rates of 22% to 26%, the interest savings over the repayment period are substantial, potentially $15,000 to $20,000 across the full payoff. But here's the trap inside that solution. Consolidation reduces the monthly payment, which temporarily creates cash flow relief, which the human brain tends to treat as an opportunity to spend, rather than accelerate repayment. The people who consolidate debt and then spend the payment relief on lifestyle have borrowed themselves back to stage 5 in 2 to 3 years. Consolidation works as a tool. It only works when the released cash flow is attacked toward debt elimination immediately, rather than absorbed into spending. Sarah's path out of stage 5 requires approximately 3 years of deliberate, uncomfortable, maintained effort. She knows this. She has calculated it. What she hasn't yet done is start, because starting requires confronting the emotional weight of 3 years of constrained living, and that confrontation is its own barrier. That barrier, the one that keeps people at stage 5 the longest, is not mathematical. It's psychological. And the psychological research says the same thing clearly. The people who exit stage 5 don't do it when they find the perfect plan, but when the pain of staying becomes larger than the fear of the sacrifice required to leave. Stage 6, the $75,000 debt. Everything costs more. Marcus is 44. He earns $96,000 a year. He owns a home, bought it in 2018. Grateful every day that he did, and he carries $76,000 in non-mortgage debt. The composition: $22,000 across 4 credit cards, $31,000 in private student loan debt, $14,000 on a home equity line of credit he opened to consolidate debt 4 years ago and has since partially refilled, $9,000 on a car loan. At $76,000, something has happened to Marcus's debt that hasn't happened at lower stages. It has become structurally embedded in his financial life. The debt is not a temporary condition he's managing while he gets himself together. It is part of the permanent architecture of his monthly budget, as fixed and assumed as his mortgage payment, as inevitable as his utility bills. He has not made a conscious decision to keep the debt. He has simply been at this level for long enough that it feels like the baseline. His monthly minimum payments total $1,890. On a $96,000 salary, that's approximately $1,890 per month. Before housing, before food, before transportation, before anything that constitutes daily life. But here's what stage 6 costs beyond the interest. Marcus is $44. If he had been investing the $1,890 he's currently paying in minimum payments since he was $34, the approximate time these debts accumulated to their current level. At 7% average annual return, $1 million, he would have $313,000 in investment accounts today. He doesn't have $313,000. He has $76,000 in debt and approximately $67,000 in retirement savings, about where someone half his age should be. The debt didn't just cost him the interest. It cost him the investment returns on the money that went to interest. It cost him the compounding that those returns would have generated. It cost him a decade of wealth building that cannot be reconstructed. He is not starting at zero. Starting at zero is recover, starting at $44,000, behind by what amounts to a decade of compounding, with 21 years until standard retirement age and $76,000 still to pay off before any additional retirement investing becomes sustainable. The exit from stage 6 is the most challenging because it requires both eliminating the debt aggressively and simultaneously beginning the retirement savings catch-up that the debt's decade of consumption delayed. This requires income above and beyond the current salary, a side income, a promotion, a career change that increases earning power. Because at $96,000 with $76,000 in debt and a mortgage and normal living expenses, there is not enough margin to both repay aggressively and invest meaningfully on the existing salary alone. The specific tools, every windfall, tax refunds, bonuses, any unexpected income goes directly to debt reduction. No exceptions, no negotiations with yourself. Highest interest rate first. Every available dollar above minimums applied to that account until it's gone, then rolled to the next. And simultaneously, starting now, not when the debt is cleared, the minimum contribution to capture the full employer 401k match. Because the match is an immediate 50% to 100% return on contributed dollars, which exceeds the interest rate on any of Marcus's debts. Free money doesn't get passed up regardless of what else is happening financially. Stage 7, the $100,000 debt, the other side. Elena is 51. She's a project manager, earns $108,000 per year, and she owes $103,000 in consumer debt, not including her mortgage. The breakdown, $38,000 across 5 credit cards, $41,000 in student loans, her own undergraduate debt plus a parent plus loan for her daughter's education, $24,000 in personal loans and medical debt. Elena has been at this approximate debt level for 6 years. She makes good money. She has always made decent money. She is paid, by her own rough calculation, somewhere around $127,000 in interest over the past 15 years. She borrowed money and paid back that money. And then she paid an additional $127,000 for the privilege of having borrowed it. $127,000. That is a house down payment. A fully funded retirement account, her daughter's graduate school education, 17 years of maxed out Roth IRA contributions. She paid $127,000, money that left her life permanently and produced nothing, and she still owes $103,000. This is what stage 7 debt actually represents. Not the balance, not even the monthly payments. The total compounded cost of a debt load carried at high interest rates over an extended period. Elena is not a financial failure. She is a highly compensated professional who made the same series of individually understandable decisions that millions of people make, taking student loans to access education, using credit cards during periods of financial stress, taking on debt to handle situations that didn't wait for a better moment, and who never had a sustained period of both sufficient income and sufficient intention to attack the total at once. She is also not hopeless. $103,000 in consumer debt is a 5-year problem for someone earning $108,000. With the right strategy, a $108,000 income, Elena can realistically direct $2,500 per month toward aggressive debt repayment while still covering essential expenses and maintaining a small amount of investment contribution to not completely abandon retirement savings. At $2,500 per month toward a $103,000 balance, averaging 18% interest, the debt is eliminated in approximately 5 years and 4 months. Total interest paid from this point, approximately $59,000. Still expensive. But the alternative, continuing at minimum payments, would extend the timeline past her retirement age and cost hundreds of thousands in additional interest. 5 years of sustained effort. That is Elena's exit. She has spent 15 years accumulating and maintaining this debt. 5 years to exit. At an income level that makes the exit achievable is the trade available to her. The psychological barrier at stage 7 is not understanding what to do. Elena knows what to do. The barrier is the exhaustion of having carried this for so long. The grief for the $127,000 that's already gone and can't be recovered, and the fear that the sacrifice required will produce an outcome that arrives too late to matter. None of those feelings are irrational. All of them are understandable, and none of them change the arithmetic. 5 years from today, Elena is 56 with zero consumer debt and her full income available for the retirement savings catch-up she needs. Or she's 56, having not started, with $80,000 still owing and 5 more years of minimum payments behind her. Both of those futures arrive in 5 years. Only one of them requires the sacrifice. The through line. Tyler at 23 with his $1,000 credit card balance, and Elena at 51 with $103,000 across 5 accounts, are not different kinds of people. They are the same kind of person at different points in the same journey, a journey that most people enter somewhere in stage 1 or 2 and progress through gradually, not because they're reckless or irresponsible, but because the system is specifically designed to make each stage feel manageable enough that aggressive action never quite feels urgent enough. Minimum payments exist to make debt comfortable to carry. Interest rates are set to maximize the cost of that comfort. Credit limits increase automatically as balances grow, creating the sense that the situation is being managed when it's actually expanding. New offers, balance transfers, consolidation loans, new cards with promotional rates provide temporary relief that often delays rather than accelerates exit. The debt industry's business model depends on you not aggressively paying off your balances. Every month you carry a balance is revenue for the lender. That alignment of incentives is not conspiratorial, it's just what it is. And understanding it clearly changes how you respond to it. The exits from every stage we've described are real. They require different levels of effort, more at stage 7 than at stage 1, but they are all mathematically achievable. The variable that determines whether they happen is not income level, not intelligence, not even financial knowledge. It is the decision to treat the debt as the emergency it actually is, rather than the background condition it has been normalized into feeling like. That decision is available at every stage. It was available for Tyler at $1,000. It is available for Elena at $103,000. And if you recognized yourself somewhere in this walkthrough, if a number we mentioned landed somewhere familiar, it is available for you right now. Not when things settle down, not next month, now. Because the cost of waiting is the only cost in this entire story that you can actually control. And every month you wait, that cost compounds. That's the whole truth about debt. Now you have it.